You ever walk into a room and feel every eye on you, judging, sizing you up before you even open your mouth? That's what happened to Sarah Kane, 7 years after she swore she'd never touch a gun again. She stood outside a dusty gun shop in a nowhere town in West Texas, called Dusty Trigger, the kind of place where the air smells like metal and regret, her old key still dangling from her fingers like it might unlock the life she left behind. Back in the day, Sarah was part of Shadow Fong, a Black Ops unit so off the books it might as well have been a ghost story. Her last mission left a scar on her right forearm, a jagged little line that stings when the wind gets cold. She stuffed a crumpled photo of her old team faces blurred by time and a whiskey spill into her worn-out duffel bag and made a promise to herself. No more weapons, no more shadows. But promises, well, they've got a way of breaking when life gets messy. It was a scorching Wednesday afternoon when Sarah pushed open the door of Dusty Trigger, the bell above it jingling like a warning. She was in a faded denim jacket, jeans with a hole at the knee, boots scuffed to hell, her auburn hair tangled like she hadn't seen a brush in days. Her eyes, though sharp, like they could cut through steel, scanned the room, taking in every detail. The place was packed. Locals, wannabe tough guys, a couple of folks just passing through. And they all turned to stare. 3 guys in their 20s, decked out in brand-name gear, were thumbing through AR-15s like they were picking out sneakers. One of them, Jake, with a flashy gold chain, spotted Sarah and laughed so loud it echoed. "Yo, sweetheart, coffee shop's down the street." His buddies cracked up, one of them, Nate, chiming in. "What? You here for a toy gun? Halloween's months away." The clerk, Ethan, a lanky guy with a smirk and a half-tucked shirt, leaned on the counter, eyeing her like she was lost. "You need directions or something?" he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Sarah didn't bite. She stepped up to the counter, pointed at a Beretta 92 FS in the glass case, and said, calm as a still pond, "Can I see that one?" The room snickered. A woman in a bright red sundress, her nails painted to match, looked up from a hunting magazine and scoffed. "Oh, honey, this ain't your scene. Try the nail salon," she said, her voice sugary but sharp, like a blade dipped in honey. The crowd ate it up, their laughs bouncing off the walls. Sarah didn't flinch. She reached for the Beretta, and in 3 seconds, flat 3 seconds, she had it in pieces on the counter, her hands moving like they were wired to muscle memory. Slide, barrel, recoil spring, all laid out neat as a surgeon's tools. The room went quiet, like someone hit mute. Jake's gold chain glinted as he leaned forward, his smirk faltering. "Okay, princess, nice trick," he said, but his voice was shaky now, like he wasn't so sure. Ethan, the clerk, raised an eyebrow, trying to play it cool. "What, you watch some YouTube tutorials?" Sarah didn't answer. She picked up the barrel, tilted it under the light, and said, "Bores off by 0.3 millimeters." The woman in the sundress dropped her magazine, the pages fluttering like a wounded bird. A guy in a faded camo hat, sipping coffee from a gas station cup, muttered to his buddy, "I've seen that move before. Fort Bragg, '09. Ain't no civilian does that." But the room wasn't done with her. Ethan, still clinging to his swagger, slid a Colt 1911 across the counter. "All right, hotshot," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Let's see you shoot. 5 rounds, 25 yards. Miss once, and you're out." The crowd murmured, some nodding, others leaning in like they were waiting for the crash. Jake, grinning again, called out, "Bet she can't even hold it steady." Nate pulled out his phone, already filming, whispering to his friend, "This is going viral when she flops." Sarah picked up the Colt, checked the mag, and loaded it with a smoothness that felt like a dance she'd done 1,000 times. She walked to the range, her boots scuffing the floor, her duffel slung over one shoulder. A woman in a green cardigan, clutching a purse like it was a lifeline, piped up, her voice sharp. "You're just making a fool of yourself, looking like you crawled out of a thrift store. Go home." The crowd stirred, some chuckling, others nodding like she'd said what they were all thinking. Sarah paused at the range door, her hand on the knob, and turned just enough to meet the woman's eyes. She didn't say a word, just adjusted her duffel and stepped inside. The range was dim, the air thick with gunpowder. She stood at the firing line, feet square, shoulders loose, like she was born there. Ethan leaned against the wall, smirking. "Let's see it, cowgirl," he called. She raised the Colt, took a slow breath, and fired. 5 shots, 1 hole, dead center, the target shredded like confetti. The kind of shooting you only see in classified drills. The room froze. Ethan's smirk vanished. Jake's phone slipped in his hand, the video still rolling. The guy in the camo hat whispered, "That's Shadow Fong. I'd bet my life on it." Before anyone could process it, the bell jingled again. 2 men in black suits, faces blank as stone, walked in. They didn't look at Ethan or Jake or the woman in the sundress. They went straight to Sarah, one of them handing her a sealed envelope. "Code Obsidian 7, ma'am," he said, voice low, like he was reading a death warrant. "Emergency recall." The room was a graveyard now, every breath held. Sarah flipped through the dossier, her eyes scanning the pages like she was reading her own past. She looked at Ethan, her voice steady. "Don't need to buy anything. Gear's waiting at the outpost." Jake, his face pale, stammered, You're her, aren't you?" The Wraith. Sarah met his eyes, her gaze like a blade. "I was," she said, and turned for the door. But the crowd wasn't letting it go. The woman in the cardigan stepped forward, her purse trembling in her hands. "You think you're better than us, don't you? Waltzing in here, looking like a drifter, showing off." Sarah paused, her hand on the door, and said, "I'm here for what I need, same as you." Her words were quiet, but they hit like a freight train, leaving the woman clutching her purse, her face red. An older guy in a worn leather jacket, his beard streaked with gray, spoke up from the back. "I saw that shooting in Kandahar, 12. Only one person could do that." His voice was rough, like he was digging up a memory he'd buried deep. Sarah didn't respond. She slung her duffel over her shoulder and stepped into a waiting black SUV, the door closing with a thud that echoed like a gavel. The shop was never the same. Within minutes, every camera in town went dark. 15 minutes of nothing, courtesy of some order from DC. The rumors spread like wildfire. The Wraith, Shadow Fong's deadliest, was back. Ethan kept the target on the range wall, those 5 perfect holes a reminder of something bigger than him. Jake's video went online, but it backfired. Comments ripped him apart for mocking a legend. He lost his gig shilling for a local gym. The woman in the sundress? Her snarky comments got her kicked off a community board. The cardigan lady stopped showing up, her judgment fading into the background noise. But Sarah? She was gone, back to a world of shadows and sealed orders. The regulars still talk about her, their voices low, like they're afraid she'll hear. That target's still there, untouched, like a shrine to someone who didn't need to shout to be heard. She didn't gloat, didn't rub it in their faces, just walked away, her boots kicking up dust on a road nobody else could follow. Her silence wasn't weakness, it was power, the kind that changes a room just by being there. For anyone who's ever been laughed at, judged for existing where you're not supposed to be, Sarah's story hits home. You don't need to scream to be seen. Sometimes, you just stand steady, let your truth do the talking, and let the world catch up. So, where are you watching from? Drop a comment. Tell me, have you ever been underestimated like that? Had to prove yourself when nobody believed you could? Hit that like button, share this story, and subscribe if you're ready to walk through more tales of heartbreak, redemption, and quiet strength. Let's keep telling these stories together.